Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of the world. This is Pastor Dow. I wanted to come on here this morning because I wanted to have a heart-to-heart talk because YouTube is a very diverse audience. You have different diversity of people on here. And I understand that we all are not on the same sheet of music, and neither do we all operate by the same moral character and principles and ethics. But what I do want to do is I want to try to express an understanding that each of us should have. Now, whether you agree with this or understanding or disagree with it, it's all based on you. It's your prerogative. But first and foremost, I'm a pastor. I am a servant of the Most High. Now, whether you agree with that or not is irrelevant. That is your perspective. That is your decision. At the same time, I realize that as a pastor, I'm going to get on here and I'm going to say a lot of things that you personally would not adhere to, that you may personally disagree with. I understand that. I come with that understanding. But when you hear me on this particular YouTube station, you're going to hear what I stand for. You're going to hear what I believe. And is that not my personal right to be able to adhere to certain principles? Is it not my personal right to be able to adhere to certain ethical principles and commandments? Is that not my right? Well, I believe it is, just like I believe that it is to you. But however, we all need to have a mutual respect for each other. Though as the old worldly saying goes, which I totally disagree with, and of course that's my right to disagree, we agree to disagree. All the people that agree to disagree has never gotten anything done, and that's the truth. As far as belief, I understand that many of you out there are pagans, atheists, witches, devils, demons, Christians, Islamic, Buddhist, Aryan, African, or whatever you want to be. I understand. And I understand that each and every last one of you have been raised and trained and taught different. And of course you could say the same thing about me, but the one thing I will not do is I will not disrespect or dishonor you as a person unless you cross the line to do that with me. Now, for instance, I'm an Israelite, and as an Israelite, I understand that when you adopt certain principles, when you adopt certain beliefs or belief systems, that there's no way that we can have fellowship. And I understand that, and I respect that. At the same time, if you have no belief whatsoever at all, that's fine and good. But if we're ever going to come into common unity, at least in thought and agreement, because I don't believe that you should fellowship with someone who you don't agree with. Most of the time I run into trouble with is that people, they'll hear me, they will get excited about what they're hearing, they'll get convicted. A lot of times people don't understand that what they're hearing from me is something that touches the very heart of man. It's called conviction. And then I'll say something a little later on that they totally disagree with, and they'll use that rather than a point of dialogue, they use it as a point of contention. And I understand that. It all depends on the type of maturity and the level of understanding that we're all on as a people. And I understand that very well. I can't force anybody to believe anything, and I'm not going to force anybody to believe anything. When you're on here, you're listening to my particular channel, and you're hearing my viewpoints, you're hearing what I live by. You're hearing the principles, the standard, the moral character of what I believe and what I hear by, and you should respect the fact that is what I believe. But yet at the same time, I don't impose my beliefs upon anyone. You have the right to live in this world any way you want whatsoever at all. But however, I also understand that I cannot make alliances with people who do not share in the same character, who do not share the same commandments and the same principles. I can understand that we are all on different levels of understanding, but I also know that if we all are serving this one creator, like many of us claim, that we may be on different paths in the one road. But it's that unity that is going to continue to bring us together in oneness. And I understand, for instance, my wife and I have been married going on 25 years. And we've had a lot of trials, a lot of tribulations. We have had a lot of successes as well as a lot of failures. We have had a lot of ups, and we have had a lot of downs. And we have had a lot of good times, and the good times is definitely outweighed the bad. And when I look back over it, the 25 years, overall, it's been a wonderful journey. And the reason why I can say it's been a wonderful journey, because when we got married, we made a covenant agreement. And of course, many of you, with some of the experiences that Sister Carol and I have experienced, many of you would have thrown in the towel a long time ago and given up. So I understand what it means to be in a covenant relationship. And I don't want many of you out there to take what I'm saying wrong, because, see, I've talked to about, in the last 2 weeks, I've talked to at least 10 preachers faithfully, and probably about 20 or 30 just regular old everyday people on the telephone. And so I don't want anybody to think that I'm personally shooting at you when I'm making these things. If you know me by now, if I'm talking directly to you, I will call your name. I will mention your name. But if I'm not talking directly to you and I'm speaking in general to trying to help bring the whole into a one-mind understanding, then I would also make that be known. But when I'm speaking to a person in general, I will call your name. If not, then I'm speaking to the whole audience as a whole. But anyway, I understand what it means to be in a covenant agreement, a covenant relationship, like the brother and the sister in here straightway. We're in a covenant agreement, covenant relationship. And we have a certain set of principles, commandments, and statutes and laws that we live by. And that is what binds us together, because we're in that common agreement. I understand that there are people that could be farther along than I am in understanding and in belief and in faith. And I also understand that there could be people that are well behind. But instead of always looking to capitalize or looking for points of contention or little small things of disagreement, we should try to develop the things and get a good understanding about the things we agree upon. And then we should try to make the hedge and work diligently at trying to bring those areas where we disagree. We should try to come to some form of conclusion if you are a servant of the Most High Yah. Now, if you're not a servant of the Most High Yah, if you are a pagan, there's no way you can be my brother. If you're an atheist, you can't be my brother. Now, you can be a long-distance associate. We can speak in general terms, but we cannot have what you would call a good, sound relationship, because we both operate after a different set of commandments, a different set of laws, a different set of statutes. And so I can't be trusted by you, and you cannot be trusted by me. But if your principles and your character and your moral character and the things you believe in, if they're just like mine or adhere to the same principles I am, then I can't see any reason why we can't get together and dialogue to come to some form of conclusion. Now, I would understand this, though. I understand that there'll be many times that in a relationship that we'll have arguments, we'll have disagreements, but that is by no means license to just shut down communication totally. You know, it takes a long time for people to mature. It really does. You know, I'm not the same man that I was, you know, when I was 20-something years old. Today, I'm not the same man as I was when I was 20. I have invested in my education. I'm talking about my self-education. No, I didn't go out here and pay nobody to learn what they want me to know about their system, their society, and how they want me to work. No, I've invested in my education. I've invested in the system of beliefs and faith I believe in, and I've surrendered completely my whole entire spirit, soul, and body to it, and that is the standard that I live by. I just so happen to live by the scriptures, the Holy Bible. So I respect your right to disagree with that, but you need to know that If you disagree with that, there's only so far we can go. The reason why that the assemblies of the Most High, or the church, if I can use those terms, in the condition that it's in, is because the so-called men of God have not been mature enough. You see, most of them, they say that they're men of honor, men of integrity, but they will not, for some reason, I just don't understand, they will not, for some reason, dialogue, sit down and have a good, healthy conversation, and let's iron and hash this thing out to see who is where and who is what. Now, I have people on here that we're developing a network with. I'm developing a good, strong network with people who are in agreement to what we are doing. And what we are doing is that we are trying our best, because we realize that our government has lied to us. We realize that they have sold us out. We realize that the churches are a liar, and your pastors are liars, and all your people who have led you in this faith is a liar. We understand that. So what we're doing is slowly but surely developing a network of people to where we're already starting to get things together, to where we're finding deals on bulk goods, and we're trading information and how we can help out each other and stuff, so we can strengthen each other and get ready as we see this evil day approaching. Now, I understand that, and that we do. But when you get up on this YouTube and you hear me speak and talk, and you're listening, you're watching these videos, you are hearing my heart. You're hearing what I stand for and what I believe. Now, you have to understand, I don't have an opportunity to get on here and view your videos, and many of you don't. So I don't know who you are. I don't know what you are about, and I do not know what you stand for. But I have learned over the years that you can judge a person by things that they do and things that they don't do. I have learned that. A lot of people do a lot of this, but they do very little of this. A lot of people do a lot of this, but there are very few people out there. I mean, very few people of honor, very few people of integrity, very few people who are actually people who adhere to good, strong, ethical, moral principles. And that's the truth. And so that doesn't discourage me one bit at all. I'm just glad to know that YouTube is being used as an outlet to help strengthen the people who are in agreement. And so that's why I go out on these meetings and stuff, because I'm looking for people who also have that kind of honor and have that kind of integrity. That's the truth. We have some trying times coming up on us. And there's no way that you're going to be able to survive this with just you and your one little old family all by yourself, especially in the city. It cannot and it will not be done. It is not going to be done. And I don't care what code of ethics you ascribe to. If there's no unity whatsoever at all, you will not survive. So when it comes to me speaking about what you term as religion, and if you are not what you term as a religious person, then just throw that out. But when it comes to me speaking about just everyday things of life and stuff like that, if you can hear it, then hear it. But don't get on here and criticize myself or anybody else because of what they believe or what they don't believe. That's not what this is about. Not whatsoever at all. I respect your right to be a devil worshiper, but you're not going to worship the devil around me, because I'm not going to have you around me worshiping the devil. And I'm sure that you're not going to have me around you worshiping the Most High. So we have an agreement there. We understand each other. I respect your right to be an atheist. But don't bring your viewpoints of being an atheist when clearly, when you click on these videos, you already know who you're dealing with. Pastor Dowell. I'm already letting you know who I stand for, what I stand for, and why I live. So don't try to come over here and throw your atheistic or your non-belief doctrine, because it's not going to work. What it is going to do is get you banned and blocked from this particular site, because I'm not like the rest of these preachers and teachers. I don't believe in this Christian doctrine that people call love, because everybody defines loves on their own terms. I believe in love according to what the scripture says, and that's how I operate every single day of my life. So no, I'm not going to get on here and jump on you because of your own personal beliefs that you ascribe to. No, I won't. But I will, because this is my particular channel. This is my site. So when you come here, you're making yourself available to hear my viewpoints. You're making yourself available to hear my conviction. You're making yourself available to hear what I stand for. And you should respect that. You should respect what I stand for, just like I would yours. That don't mean you have to agree with it. That don't mean you have to walk with it, or like many people. They say they're a friend, but the Bible says, you know what? It's better to have a friend that is close than a brother that is far off. And that's the truth. So, you know, you won't hear me get on here jumping on particular people because of what they believe or don't believe. That is not what we're about. So I'm trying my best, some way, somehow, to help educate us so we can start thinking. We can really, truly start thinking. I am for Christ, 100%. And that's where all of my viewpoints come from, every bit of it. It comes from a biblical perspective. Now, whether you understand that perspective or not is irrelevant, but that's how I speak. I'm a student of the scriptures and nothing else. And that's it. And I live my life that way. I've given my whole spirit, soul, and body. My whole entire life has been turned over to Christ, and it has been for quite some time, and that's why I live by. Now, I can help save a lot of people's steps who are seeking for a deeper level or closer walk with Him. I can do that. But I'm not going to condemn you where you are, because where you are, I used to be there. And I have that understanding. But you have to understand this. If you are going to ask me a question, be willing and be ready and have yourself prepared for what I believe to be the truthful answer. Now, you do have the right to disagree with that, but we are going to contend earnestly to find out who's right and who's wrong. And I promise you one thing. I'm not going to give you my personal opinion, because my personal opinion don't matter. To me, the only opinion that matters is what he says. Now, the way where we understand that level of understanding, the only agreement we're going to have is when we get to the book. And we have time, just a small amount of time to get there. So I thought I'd come on here this morning and just try to speak directly and truthful to each and every last one of us, to let y'all know where I am and what I stand for. So no, my principles and my character, my honor, and especially the commandments of the Most High, they're never an option. They're never an option to be what you would call open for discussion in order to change. No, I would never change them, and neither would I ask you to change yours. But however, if you say something that is truthful and I need to know more, I will ask you. I'm not going to sit up there and just down outright like an American just disagree with you because I haven't done any research. I haven't studied nothing at all whatsoever. I'm not going to act like an arrogant, pompous, pious American. And that's the truth. So a covenant relationship, brothers and sisters, with all of us, especially those of us who ascribe to the doctrine of Christ. It requires people of great, strong, moral character. And that's the truth. And that is the truth straight way. So if you want to be an atheist, be an atheist. You're more than welcome. I'm not censoring anybody on here. And let me finish on this. I don't ascribe to what this American society, what they call cuss words. I don't believe bastard is a cuss word. I don't believe damn is a cuss word, and I don't believe hell is a cuss word. There's a lot of things I don't believe is cuss words. Now, there are words that are just not acceptable. That is not acceptable, because I understand what the term cursing means. I do. I understand what it means. But there are term four-letter words that people like using in everyday language and stuff. I'm humbly asking you, don't use those type of words on my particular board. So if you find some of your comments deleted and stuff, that is because you automatically coming on here, you should automatically know what I stand for, and you should respect me enough to not use that kind of language, knowing the type of audience that is going to be listening to me on this particular channel. I won't come on your channel dishonoring and disrespecting you. And that is a promise that I'll make. But I will contend, providing that we can have an intelligent dialogue, a mature dialogue. So there's not many people, brothers and sisters, that are left here on this earth that have that kind of conviction to where they're willing to tell the truth and to stand by it and live by it. I'm an Israelite, so I believe that the truth is contained only in Christ in the scriptures. To you, if you are an atheist, you have different values, you have different standards, you have a different belief system, and to you, truth is whatever you call truth. And that's the only reason why it would be hard for us to walk together in agreement. As a matter of fact, there's no way I can make an allegiance or forge an allegiance or an alliance with you whatsoever at all, because we both are walking on two different paths. I hope you can understand that. I really truly do. I respect your right, but there's no way we can join and unite if I'm believing in the one true creator and you say that he's not the one true creator, you don't believe in it. But I do respect your viewpoint. But you need to know from that point right there that that's where it's not a line in the sand, it's a line in the concrete, that we cannot walk together. Now, if you are of Christ, don't come on here. When you hear me talk about something, I am a well-learned man, well-learned. And I only talk about the things that I am sure of and know of. I'm not so stupid and so illiterate that I will get on here and touch on subjects that I have no idea about and I have not researched. Because you hear me say something that does not ascribe to your personal Christian belief system or what you have learned to be true, instead of just automatically jumping to conclusions and stuff, maybe you ought to consider what I say and search it out and see first if what I'm saying is so before you're so quick to disagree. Because I'm not about tradition. I do not exalt the traditions of men above the commandments of God. Never will that happen. I did that when I was an apostolic. I did it when I was a Baptist in the Church of Christ. I will not do that as an Israelite. I will not do that. No way, shape, fashion, or form. I will not ascribe to any tradition or any doctrine coming from any Christian faith whatsoever at all. I follow Christ, the King, and his teachings and his commandments. That's who I am. I am a servant of the Most High Yah. We may disagree with my high servant. That's your prerogative. It's my hope. And one day we're going to find out. All of us are. Somebody has been right. And somebody has been wrong. And whether we all like it or not, we're going to check and test that boast. We have no choice. That boast will be checked. And it will be tested. And that is the truth. And that is the truth straightway. May you have a wonderful and blessed day. Especially if you could endure this video. The King is coming.